Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into the often complex yet always dynamic world of Nigerian politics. We're specifically eyeing the road ahead towards the 2027 elections.
That's right.
We've got a fascinating set of sources today about a really significant development, the National Opposition Coalition Group, or NOCG,
hmm
and their adopted unified party, which is the African Democratic Congress, the ADC.
Indeed. And our mission today really is to thoroughly explore the landscape of this emergent opposition. We're going to focus particularly on a pivotal figure, Rauf Aregbesola.
Right, Aregbesola.
He's taken on the crucial role of interim national secretary for this, well, repositioned ADC. You've sent over material detailing his extensive background, his political philosophy, his track record.
Yeah, quite a bit to sift through.
Exactly. And we're here to distill the most important insights, especially for you, if you're keen to understand the forces shaping Nigeria's future and perhaps observing the shifts in political allegiances.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're going to try and get to know Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. I mean, this is a leader who has navigated a truly remarkable political journey, really quite something. He's moved from being a longtime ally of the incumbent president, Bola Tinubu, to now, well, spearheading the opposition's charge.
A major shift.
A major shift indeed. So we'll explore his Omoluabi ethos, his consistent progressive socialist ideals, and his strategic vision for the ADC, really revealing the kind of leadership this opposition is presenting as we look toward 2027. So let's maybe start at the beginning. Who is Rauf Aregbesola, the man now steering the ADC as his interim national secretary? Our sources describe him not just as a seasoned politician, which he clearly is, but as a quintessential Omoluabi and an unrepentant progressive socialist. What's the significance of those labels in defining his early path?
Well, what's truly foundational here, I think, is his consistent ideological stance. It's a thread that really runs through his entire career, going back decades. Yeah. Born in 1957, his political awakening, his leftist activism, began during his undergraduate days at the Polytechnic, Ibadan.
Okay.
He was studying mechanical engineering technology, interestingly enough, but politically, he was incredibly active.
Huh.
He served as the Speaker of the Students' Parliament 1977-1978,
Right.
and even led something called the Black Nationalist Movement, actively supporting progressive student movements across Nigeria. So this wasn't just, typical student politics. It seems it was a deeply ingrained commitment to certain leftist ideals.
So not just a student leader, but an activist, really shaping political thought on campuses right from the start. That's quite a foundational experience, isn't it?
It is.
How did that early activism translate into his life after university?
Absolutely. That early immersion in student politics and Black nationalist movements seems to have instilled a strong sense of social justice. Post-graduation, this naturally transformed him into a committed pro-democracy and human rights activist.
Oh.
He played a significant role in the Nigerian pro-democracy struggles of the 1990s. Those movements were critical, in ushering in the return to democratic governance.
Right, a crucial period.
Exactly. So this background, it's not just biographical detail. It's crucial for understanding the principled stands he would apparently take much later in his career. It helps make sense of his ironclad will, as our sources put it. It highlights a consistent commitment to what he views as progressive governance and human rights, even before he got into formal electoral politics.
So a deep, almost unwavering commitment to these principles right from his formative years. That definitely provides important context for everything that follows.
I think so.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for, I think, many people watching Nigerian politics. Aregbesola didn't just sort of pop up on the opposition scene. His extensive history, including a very long time, very deep alliance with the current president, Bola Tinubu.
Yes, that's key.
Walk us through his political ascent and how this alliance developed.
Okay, well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of Nigerian politics, Aregbesola's journey, it kind of illustrates how political careers can evolve, especially within these complex patron-client networks, and sometimes how they break from them.
Right.
So after the return to democracy in 1999, Ogbeni Aregbesola joined the Alliance for Democracy, the AD party, which was known for its more, shall we say, socialist leaning.
Hmm.
He steadily climbs the political ladder, famously served as the director of the Bola Tinubu campaign organization, BATCO,
Very true.
in 1999. Now, this wasn't just some mid-level role.
No.
It was pivotal. He coordinated Tinubu's successful electoral victory for governor of Lagos State, which means he was instrumental, really, in setting up the political structure that would eventually become incredibly powerful.
So he wasn't just a supporter. He was a key architect right from the beginning of this democratic era,
Yeah.
deeply involved in shaping the political landscape we see today. What were the next steps in his career within that alliance?
Indeed. His journey continued through various, quite exalted offices. It shows a consistent track record of administrative experience. He served as the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Lagos State. That was 1999 to 2007 under Tinubu. Then a two-term governor of Osun State from 2007 to 2015.
Right, Osun State.
And finally, Federal Minister of Interior from 2015 to 2023. I mean, this is an incredibly robust political resume. It signifies decades of deep collaboration and, well, shared political destiny with Tinubu.
Decades. But despite this deep history, this collaboration, our sources highlight a really significant and pretty dramatic break. What caused this pivotal shift?
Yeah.
Especially given those decades of association with President Tinubu. This is a point of, I think, considerable interest for anyone watching the dynamics here.
It really is, and it raises an important question, doesn't it? Not just about personal relationships, but about that fundamental tension.
Between principles and loyalty.
Exactly. Within Nigerian politics, our sources describe Aregbesola as a man of ironclad will and strong ethical convictions. They report he made a profound sacrifice, parting ways with President Tinubu, his erstwhile political ally and benefactor.
Strong words.
Very. And it was due to what's described as principled opposition to nepotistic favoritism and unfair impositions.
Okay, specifics.
The specific catalyst mentioned in the sources was Tinubu's alleged actions, back when he was leader of their then ACN party, enforcing the selection of his cousin as Aregbesola's successor for governor of Osun State. And this was reportedly done against the expressed will of state stakeholders and, crucially, many party members.
Well, so what we're seeing here, at least according to the sources, is his commitment to his pro-people and Omoluabi principles, proving stronger than decades of political alliance. For you, the listener, analyzing the sincerity of political leadership, the demand for accountability, this reported break is certainly a noteworthy indicator.
Absolutely. It speaks perhaps to a willingness to challenge established power structures, even at great personal cost.
So this break, this pivotal moment, brings us right to the core of his political philosophy.
Yeah.
The Omoluabi ethos and his unrepentant progressive socialist leanings.
Yes.
Explain that a bit more. What exactly does Omoluabi entail, and how does that translate into a political vision he's now bringing to the ADC?
Right. Omoluabi is a philosophy deeply rooted in Yoruba culture, but it's far more than just, good manners or etiquette.
Okay.
It encompasses profound virtues: hard work, honesty, integrity, fairness, egalitarianism, deep respect for others, and what's often described as the fear of God or just a strong moral compass. For Aregbesola, according to the sources, this isn't just a cultural ideal, it's the bedrock of his political approach. His pro-people orientation, his collectivistic leanings, they're said to resonate deeply with many Nigerian citizens, who reportedly, and this is interesting, flocking to join the Omoluabi movement, which he founded.
Movement.
Yes, suggesting these values are what a segment of the populace is actively looking for in their leadership right now.
So he's not just talking about ideals. He's actively trying to build a movement around them, translating cultural values into a political framework.
Seems so.
How does this consistent ideological thread connect to his journey through all those different political parties, from the AD, eventually to the APC, and now the ADC?
That's a crucial piece of the historical context, yeah. He was a founding member of the Leftist Alliance for Democracy, the AD. What's fascinating, and perhaps a bit disheartening for those who shared that initial vision, is that he stayed with the party through its various mergers and transformations. And these weren't just simple name changes, right?
No, significant realignments.
Exactly. The party evolved from AD to AC, Action Congress, then ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria, and finally the APC, the current ruling party. However, our sources consistently indicate that with each transformation, the original socialist and progressive ideas that define the AD party were systematically diluted, eroded even.
Diluted and eroded.
Yeah. The party, in its pursuit of broader national appeal of power, reportedly moved further and further from its foundational ideological commitments.
So it's not just a simple change of party label for him. It's more like a journey where the principles he held dear seem to become increasingly at odds with the evolving identity of the very party he helped build,
That's the narrative presented.
which suggests that the current ATC government's policies, described in the sources as draconian anti-people policies and extreme rightist reactionary, that ultimately led him to the National Opposition Coalition Group.
Precisely. From the perspective of our sources, his decision to join the NOCG, which is, a group of prominent political leaders committed to what they frame as rescuing the country from nepotistic malgovernance.
Right.
It seems like a natural, maybe even inevitable progression given his core beliefs and that perceived ideological drift of the ruling party.
Okay.
And his appointment, first as the de facto leader of the opposition coalition in the Southwest Zone.
Which is historically a progressive hotbed.
Exactly. And then subsequently as the interim national secretary of the ADC, it reflects a significant recognition of his mass appeal, his administrative competence, and perhaps that consistent ideological stance by those looking to build a coherent opposition.
Okay, so given all this background, what does he actually envision for the ADC under his leadership? Especially for you, the listener, who might be observing different models of governance and political organization.
Well, he's made it quite clear, according to the sources. He vows to build a party with a clear ideological compass.
A clear compass.
He envisions a party that is absolutely committed to the people, rooted in democratic values, rule of law, social justice, accountability, transparency, national development.
Lofty goals.
Very. And it's a significant declaration because it really aims to counter that perception of political parties in Nigeria as just, vehicles for personal ambition. He explicitly states he wants a party that listens and works for the people, not only during elections, but every single day, which, raises a really important question for Nigerian democracy. How can a political party genuinely become an institution for the people?
Sustained engagement, not just electioneering.
Exactly, rather than just an electoral machine.
And beyond the ideals, he's promising to model international best practices in how the party is organized.
Yes, advocating for internal democracy, transparent intra-party competition.
Which is often a sticking point.
A major one. And genuine inclusion for youth, women, the marginalized, various special interest groups.
That's a very specific, quite ambitious vision for reforming the political culture from within the party structure itself.
It is. It speaks to a desire to perhaps professionalize and democratize political participation.
Okay, so it's one thing to talk about ideals and visions, isn't it? It's another to actually implement them on the ground.
Absolutely. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Right. And our sources really highlight his time as governor of Osun State. They present it as a powerful testament to his progressive approach, showing how those principles could translate into tangible policies. What kind of impact did he make there, according to the material?
Well, what's compelling here is how these programs serve as concrete illustrations of that progressive approach and his commitment to the Omaliwabi ethos, fairness, justice, equality, and actual governance.
Okay.
As governor, he pioneered some genuinely groundbreaking social investment programs. These weren't just ambitious, they were reportedly highly impactful and, in some cases, really innovative for the Nigerian context at the time.
Okay, let's get into some specifics then. Because for anyone evaluating leadership based on demonstrable impact, these are the results you look at.
Certainly. One of the most notable and often cited was the Osun Elementary School Feeding and Health Program. O-Meals.
O-Meals, right.
This scheme provided daily meals for about 252,000 elementary school pupils, a huge number. And the impact was multifaceted. It significantly boosted school attendance and enrollment, obviously, but it also created substantial economic opportunities. It engaged 3,000 women community caterers.
Wow.
And supported thousands of smallholder farmers through its supply chain. So a real ripple effect. This program was reportedly so successful it earned endorsements from the World Bank.
World Bank endorsement?
Yes. And remarkably served as a template for the current federal government's national school feeding scheme.
So a direct influence on national policy from a state initiative.
Exactly. That's quite significant.
That is a significant multifaceted impact.
Yeah.
Education, health, economic empowerment, national policy influence. What other initiatives stood out during his governorship?
Well, his administration also introduced something called Agba Osun.
Yeah.
This was a pioneering statewide cash transfer scheme specifically designed to lift vulnerable citizens out of poverty.
Correct cash transfers.
Yes, providing a safety net, stimulating local economies. Also, to reduce the financial burden on parents. His government paid external examination fees for all public senior secondary school students.
That's a big relief for families.
Huge. And then, in a really remarkable step for educational technology back then, he introduced Opon Emo, which translates to Tablet of Knowledge.
It's a tablet of knowledge.
Yeah, a handheld mobile device delivering all recommended textbooks and learning content to thousands of high school students, effectively digitizing their learning resources.
And Opon Emo even got a UN World Summit Award for innovation.
It did.
That's global recognition for a local initiative. It shows a clear emphasis on leveraging technology for social good.
Exactly. And the cumulative effect of these initiatives, well, it seems profound, and it was documented. Osun State was rated the second highest among all 36 states in Nigeria on its Human Development Index in 2014.
Second highest HDI.
By the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. Renaissance Capital, a leading investment bank, ranked Osun as the 7th largest economy in the country. And in 2017, the National Bureau of Statistics rated Osun as the state with the lowest poverty rate in Nigeria.
Lowest poverty rate.
Yes. These are powerful, independent indicators suggesting a pro-people, development-driven leadership style, one that was apparently able to translate progressive ideals into measurable improvements in people's lives.
Okay, so we've looked at his background, his principles, his track record. What does all this mean for 2027 and beyond? As National Secretary of the ADC, what are his strategic goals, and how might they shape Nigeria's political future? Especially for you, the listener, closely observing the options for leadership.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests a leader aiming for really fundamental political and societal reform, driven by a deep conviction about what political parties should be. Aregbesola firmly believes, according to the sources, that a political party is not a platform for opportunism, but rather a living institution built on values, guided by ideals, and accountable to the people it seeks to serve.
A living institution.
Yes. His energy, it seems, is wholly directed towards building the ADC into a potent political force, not just for the next election cycle, but as a viable, long-term institution.
That's a powerful statement about the purpose of a political party. But, given the historical realities of Nigerian politics, how does he plan to actually make that happen? What are the practical steps, the immediate challenges in building the ADC into this living institution with that clear ideological compass?
That's precisely the critical question, isn't it? How do you operationalize that vision? Our sources indicate he's focusing on things like internal democracy and transparency.
Okay.
Which means establishing clear, merit-based processes for leadership selection, for candidate emergence, rather than imposition, which is often the criticism.
A huge challenge.
A significant hurdle in many Nigerian parties, historically. He's also reportedly pushing for genuine inclusion, actively seeking to bring youth, women, marginalized groups into actual decision-making roles, not just mobilizing them as voters.
Right.
Now, that requires a fundamental shift in party culture. The immediate challenges, of course, are immense, overcoming entrenched political habits, resource limitations, which are common to opposition parties. And let's be honest, the skepticism of a populace often jaded by unfulfilled promises from politicians of all stripes.
And it sounds like he's not just focused on the party itself, but this broader ethical reformation you mentioned. That seems like a massive undertaking.
It really does. The source mentions this army of youthful and enthusiastic supporters signing up for his Omoluabi National Ethical Reformation and Rebirth Organization. This commitment to stemming what he sees as the ethical decline of Nigerian society is incredibly ambitious. It runs parallel to his political efforts. It aligns with his stated focus on human capital development, education, infrastructure. These aren't seen as isolated goals in his philosophy. They are intrinsically linked to his overriding objective, promoting peaceful coexistence, economic prosperity, social advancement for Nigeria, which he sees as absolutely fundamental to achieving stability and security in the nation. It's a holistic approach, suggesting he views political reform as deeply intertwined with moral and societal renewal.
Our sources describe him as reserved, thoughtful, and focused, gifted with immense strategic planning acumen. What kind of leader does this potentially make him for the 2027 elections, particularly in navigating the, let's face it, notoriously complex and often unpredictable Nigerian political landscape?
Well, his approach is consistently characterized as consultative and calculative.
Consultative and calculative?
Yes, meaning perhaps not prone to impulsive decisions, preferring to engage stakeholders, carefully weigh options. Crucially, the sources say he leverages an extensive grassroots support base, a base that is reportedly growing as his progressive ethical ethos gains wider appeal.
Okay.
So, for you, the listener, observing the emerging leadership options, perhaps seeking a leader genuinely committed to social advancement, economic prosperity, rather than one driven by, say, narrow tribal or religious bigotry, his profile offers a lot to consider. It speaks to a leader who appears to understand the mechanics of power, but, according to our sources, seeks to wield it for a broader, ideologically consistent agenda.
A deep dive, wasn't it, into the compelling profile of Rauf Aregbesola, clearly a central figure in Nigeria's emerging opposition landscape and the ADC's strategic vision as we look towards 2027. We've seen a leader whose journey, right from student activism through to federal minister, seems underscored by this consistent commitment to progressive socialist ideals and that Omolabi philosophy.
Absolutely. And you've heard how his reported break from a longtime political ally was apparently rooted in a principled stand against perceived nepotism, and how his track record as governor of Alson State provided tangible examples of his pro-people policies.
Yeah, the school feeding, the tablet.
Exactly. From school feeding programs to those innovative educational initiatives. These are the kinds of specific details that really paint a comprehensive picture of his leadership style and, well, his priorities.
So for you keenly observing the political landscape, the leaders stepping forward, Aregbesola represents a vision for a party built on strong democratic values, accountability,
Oh.
aiming, it seems, for nothing less than Nigeria's economic and ethical rebirth.
It's a vision, importantly, that seeks to institutionalize change from within the political system itself.
Right.
Which leads us to a final thought, perhaps. If the foundation of a nation's future is built not just on election promises, but on the unwavering commitment of its leadership to a clear ideological compass, then how might such a principled approach, as exemplified by Aregbesola, according to our sources, truly reshape the trajectory of Nigeria's democracy in 2027 and beyond?
A big question. What aspects of his journey, his stated goals, resonate most with your own assessment of the country's political future? Something to think about.